Tony, I'm one of your old mates, so I'm not going to give you a load of old flannel. And I'm not actually going to tell about any good points or bad points, because for me, you don't have many bad points. You're just full of good ones. But what I'd like to do is tell everybody why you're the chosen one.
I remember that you met me in the corridor and you told me, listen, Fabricia, I decided to early retire, so I will soon introduce my request. I said, okay, are you sure? Yes, yes. I spoke to my wife and we decided, so I will retire before the summer break.
On était à rue de Trèves et il était toujours caché dans ses machines en train de réparer quelque chose, dans ses robots, et alors il voulait faire une copie et ça ne sortait pas, ou alors la copie était noire, il n'y avait pas d'image, et évidemment c'était toujours le robot qui était au fond. Voilà.
I had the big pleasure to stand with him on Old Trafford pitch.
Et il me laisse toujours passer devant pour le café parce qu'il dit d'abord les travailleurs. Puis je lui dis mais c'est toi, puis il me dit non c'est toi.
C'est vrai que
et on parle pendant 5 minutes qui passe en premier.
Et en général, Spiridon revient en pleurant
voilà.
parce que ça s'est mal terminé.
Tout à fait.
Oui.
When we started the Europe by Satellite in the mid-90s, and I can tell you there were a lot of wolves out there in the forest who wanted it all to go wrong. I was never nervous. The people around me were never nervous because we knew that we had you.
We interviewed candidates with Tony and Tony O'Donnell and Martin Jones, and we arrived at the conclusion that no one could replace Tony Garber.
Do you remember when we sat there in the bar? It was only you and me for some weird reason. And we started to talk a bit, and I thought, well, hey, this guy is pretty nice. He's not at all the madman on -1 I first thought.
Ik vind het wel spijtig dat Tony nu gaat, want had hij nog een jaartje gewacht, dan hadden we ons 25 jaar kunnen vieren. Dus dat is 25 jaar dat we elkaar kennen, dus dat is een hele geschiedenis, veel te lang, dat gelijk welke cd of cassette kan bevatten, wat we allemaal meegemaakt hebben.
Il y a une chose que j'aimais beaucoup faire avec toi, c'était dépenser l'argent du contribuable européen en achetant beaucoup de matériel.
He came back to me and he said, listen, I spoke again with my wife, and well, I will stay a little bit longer. I want to finish some project.
Lorsque Tony avait décidé de faire la visite du Bredel avec sa maman, et j'avais fait quelques photos à cette occasion, et c'était tellement beau de voir la fierté de Tony expliquant à sa maman aussi un peu tout ce qu'il avait réalisé dans cette grande maison.
When he came in last Christmas with this enormous turkey and started carving it up for everyone, and it was absolutely delicious. I don't know whether we have to thank him or his wife for the turkey, but it was absolutely delicious.
I think if anybody writes the history of this unit, they won't mention very much what Tony has done for the unit. It'll probably say that we've had lots of great heads of unit and all the rest of it. But in truth, Tony has been involved in many hundreds of projects throughout the years he's worked here. Just to pick one, the building we're in at the moment, the studios we're in at the moment. Tony and I were presented with a white piece of paper with a few round circles on. Those were the circles of the columns that hold up the damn building, and we were told we weren't allowed to touch those. And we designed the rest of it. And then Tony took the rest of the project on. He talked about the colour of the carpets with the architects. He talked about the air conditioning in the rooms. And he carried it through to the setup that we have here now. And that's only one of the big projects that he's been involved in.
I was making 10 video documentaries, or 10 language versions of a video documentary on the European Union's youth orchestra and the Baroque orchestra, then called the European Community. Anyhow, I had just... We did a marvellous job on the whole thing, I think. You put your whole heart into it. And then it came to putting nice thumbnails, little titles for the various people, for the various sound bites. And I was full of enthusiasm and ideas, and I suggested the idea of Go off and have a good lunch, Raymond, and, well, I'll see what I can do for you, which he always says. Well, I came back. Not only did we have the stave, we actually had the treble clef moving, and it was the opening graphic on the whole thing.
I really hope that one of the next day I will meet him again in the corridor and he will tell me, listen, Fabricia, I've spoke with my wife and I decided that I will stay a little bit longer.
So that's how everybody, Tony Gardner is the chosen one.
Good points about Tony.
Tous les points sont positifs pour Tony. Tous. Une patience unique.
Moi qui ai toujours plein de questions, Dieu sait si j'en ai eu, Tony a toujours pris la peine de me répondre.
Tony is the one person that comes in every morning to say hello. It's really nice.
C'est vrai.
Yeah. Oui. Yeah.
Tout à fait. Et il nous dit au revoir quand il part.
Il nous dit au revoir quand il
C'est
part.
vrai,
Il nous
fait
dit
ça
bon
aussi.
week-end le vendredi.
Oui, tout à fait.
S'il a congé le
Oui,
vendredi.
il nous
le
dit en
jeudi.
plus.
Toujours de bonne humeur et j'adore quand il parle néerlandais.
C'est quelqu'un de très sympathique qui a apporté beaucoup de choses, qui nous a expliqué beaucoup de choses au départ.
And the only thing I can remember is always his fantastic tie at the Christmas party.
He looks like out of a fairy tale to me sometimes, which is fun, of course, because I like them.
I will always call you our British Viking because you were the guy, together with a few others, but you were in particular the guy who could fix everything.
Tony est quelqu'un d'extrêmement gentil et de toujours souriant.
For those who know John le Carré's The Constant Gardener, the actual character in that book, in the film as well, in many respects is Tony Gardner. He is the constant gardener in the real sense because he has the qualities of fidelity, honesty, generosity, and certainly professionalism. Tony Gardner's bad points. I'd be the last person to go on about those.
I can't honestly say I've ever seen him on an off day. Very rarely see him without a smile on his face, and no, I don't think I've ever seen him on an off day. I've had several, but I've never seen him on an off day.
Honestly, don't know one.
Jamais vu de mauvaise humeur. Je crois que c'est pas possible chez lui.
Peut-être de temps en temps un petit énervement lors de nos réunions.
He's never annoyed.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Il est têtu parfois, mais moi aussi je suis têtu et on arrive toujours, ça c'est son grand avantage, on arrive toujours à une solution, à un compromis.
Only one thing though, that would really annoy Tony, and you would see him boil up like a steam engine, go red in the face, his cheeks start to explode, and then steam would be coming out of every gland, would be over the question of...
Donc c'est vieux. Aujourd'hui, il n'y en a plus des mauvais points.
Non, tout à fait. Oui.
Que des bonnes choses.
Que des bonnes choses, oui.